I have been blessed with a stroke of genius this morning. Every time winter hits, I get to thinking like, oh no, what am I gonna do? I can't do one days, I can't go out and fish with what I just made, blah, 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 blah. But the solution requires a wall of baits that I'm going to make all winter. And I'm gonna put the baits on the wall. Of course, I'm gonna test the actions and see how they work and I'm gonna make fine baits, fine as heck. But then I'm gonna put them on the wall and I'm gonna wait for spring. And the only way that those baits are coming off the wall is when I take them and tie them to my line and catch a fish, and then it comes off the wall. And it was a success. Let's make some spiffy baits. Starting with this one, standard poplar body, and then I'm gonna add the weight where it belongs and figure out that tail. Hard body paddle tail, no joints. Just a hard body bait that's weighed correctly, and that will make the most out of that paddle tail. And I might just go with standard Alumilite resin as the tail. That stuff's pretty strong. But somebody just sent me something too, and it gives me another idea to use this technique with. He actually sent me a bunch of old Suics as wall art, thank you, and then a sketch out of a catfish body. Bottom dwelling, hooks on the top, maybe with a weed guard even, upside down paddle, because it's on the bottom. I didn't want to just go with a traditional swim bait for a catfish. I think it deserves something more, like with top hooks, pulling it through the slime, and then all of a sudden it gets just smoked by a pike. Yeah, that's putting off the vibe real strong. That's what we'll do. I suppose the only issue is that I don't want one this big. 8 1/4 inches long, that's a hefty bait. That's a big boy. I'm thinking more like 4 inches. I want to catch fish with this. Not that you can't catch fish with big baits, fellas. But this is the stock I have glued up right now. It's thicker than it is tall, like a normal catfish. It's been an entire day already, and all I've done is clamp together 2 pieces of wood and glue them. It's a very odd shape for a lure, but that's the shape of a tiny catfish. I think when it comes to the sheer thickness of a fish, catfish are hard to beat. Might have overdone it right there, but let's keep it fat. We can narrow it down later. I think I'm gonna even figure out something for the whiskers off the front. Apparently these catfish are like a big teardrop shape from this point of view. I'm gonna carve all the way up to this center line where the 2 pieces of wood were glued together. And then I drew a organically shaped line that I sketched out. Tried to sketch out evenly on both sides here. That should leave meat down here for the belly. I'm gonna carve to this line on the bottom, carve to this line on the side, and carve to the center line on the top. Very strangely shaped fish. But stability is gonna be the main factor. That's what we're going for with this bait. The paddle off the back, we're gonna want that to kick hard and still have the bait be stable. This is removing a massive amount of wood from the top corners to get it to a point down the middle. I don't want it flat from the top point to that line. I want it kind of curved still. But yeah, I'll be chunking away at this. This tool might not seem like a lure making tool, but it is. I've found such use out of a random, what do you call this? Random orbital sander. It shakes and spins slowly, and it just sands a perfect finish onto a bait. You can manipulate both the tool and the bait, what you're sanding, so you can be very accurate. That's huge. Already drilled the 3/4 inch hole that will accept the lead for this bait. And I figured everything else out. All of the world's problems figured out just now. Just kidding. I'm gonna have, look at this picture. These fins down here, no. I'm gonna have a top fin, and then I'm gonna have a feather off of a treble hook that sets inside of the body that's gonna mimic this fin. And then the paddle is gonna be this. fin. And then every other detail on the body, including these rib serrations and the lateral line and the gills and the whiskers, they'll be there. But I needed to establish where this lead hole will be, because I'm gonna come in from the top and we're gonna sink one of these owner treble hooks right into the body. One of these points is gonna go right into the body. And I might put a neodymium magnet in there to keep it secure. And then the treble hook's gonna be secured to the body with a split ring that's gonna be secured to the line tie, which is gonna be on the top of the head, not in the nose, the top of the head of this bait, because there's gonna be so much weight in this belly that we might be able to get a little bit of this going on, along with a paddle on the back. I'm just picturing it for a bit here, yeah. Strong possibility that we can get some of this going on while it paddles, which is kind of exciting. I say, instead of reading comments while the lead pot heats up, because I did not plug it in, let's just do a full-blown fun facts on catfish. Specifically, the Chaniel catfish. I'm just kidding, I know it's channel catfish. What if I called it Chaniel the whole time? That'd be intense. That'd be really dumb, actually. Okay, Wikipedia. Of every other catfish in North America, the channel catfish got the numbers on all the others. Mostly, there are just channel catfish up here in North America. Up here in North America. Compared to South America. I don't know how Wikipedia got this info, but it says that around 8 million people a year target them. I don't know if they're specifically counting the number of anglers that target them per year, or if they're counting how many instances anglers are targeting them. I don't know. I don't think Wikipedia knows either. Channel catfish is the official fish of Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, and Tennessee. Because people like to eat this fish so much, it can straight up just be farmed. It's an agricultural commodity. People have ponds just full of these things, and they're like, hey, you wanna have a fish fry? And they're like, yeah. And then they go net a bunch of them out and fry up 100 of them. Good times, you know? But over there in Europe, in Asia, and down there in South America, they consider this fish invasive and a trash fish. Good for them. I think they're just trying to be different or something. Where a channel catfish belongs is actually in a smaller stream or river. That's what they're native to. That's what they're designed for. Of course, they're in the Mississippi. They're in big rivers and stuff and lakes, but they are tuned finely to survive very well in a small stream or a river. Backwaters and watersheds. You know, backwaters with low current. Backwaters off a big river. They love that too. I'm not really reading off of Wikipedia right now. That's my opinion. Characteristics of this fish. They have a very keen sense of smell and taste, which in the fishing world are kind of two of the same thing. Fish taste the water to smell. They use antennas for like little vibrations. They got whiskers. I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm just trying to say that they have extremely sensitive smell and taste sensing organs. If there's several amino acid molecules out of 100 million, they can smell that. They got little puny eyeballs that are useless, and they smell their way around the world. It just so happens that if you have something stinky or repulsive on your hand and you touch a catfish, it's straight up tasting it. It has taste bud all over its body. So, you know, just know that next time you handle a catfish, it is tasting what's ever on your hand. 25 buds per square millimeter on its body of taste buds. For the big channel catfish out there, the top end channel catfish, 40 to 50 pounds. Is big. World record channel catfish, 58 pounds. Of course, flatheads get bigger, but world record channel catfish, 58 pounds. That was a fight. Any catfish over 20 pounds, that's a good fish, you know. But if you want to eat one, you know, 2 to 3 pounds, that's a good amount of meat, and that's gonna be a clean fish. It's not gonna be an old sediment-filled turd. It says here that what catfish mostly smell are amino acids. Like it comes off extremely potent to a channel catfish. So if you can get fatty fish as bait, like a herring or a menhaden or like some really oily saltwater species, throw that on your circle hook and throw it out into a creek, and you're gonna put off a ton of amino acids, and catfish tune into that apparently. You can catch catfish with anything really. Birds, algae, seeds, dough, insects, snakes, frogs, cats, severed body parts. They'll eat anything. And I don't know what all this hocus pocus is about chemical communication in catfish, and they can talk to each other with chemicals or something. The beautiful, peaceful catfish community where they all just get together and talk for hours. I'm sure that exists. It's more of a territory thing, keeps them away from each other, and they let off chemicals to say this is my spot, get away from me. But apparently they have an alarm system too. They let off chemicals if they feel they're in danger. That might be why it's hard to catch more than 1 or 2 catfish out of one spot. You pluck one out, I'm talking like a small spot on a small river. You get a couple of them out there, and that spot's probably filled with all sorts of stress, chemical, hormone things that the catfish let off while you were catching them. So never mind, there might be some validity to that crap. So sound travels 4.8 times faster and over way longer ranges underwater if you have the correct organs and you're adept to hearing sounds underwater. Catfish, for instance, are beasts at this. They really can hear underwater. If you catch a channel cat, you pull it out of water, a lot of the time they go so they're making noises at each other. Apparently there are just amazing catfish communities down there. They got spines, as all of you probably know. From their fins, pokey things that come out. A venomous tissue comes out and pokes you, and it hurts for hours after you get stung with one of those things. Catfish have enhanced hearing abilities due to an organ in their swim bladder, that little bubble of air inside of a fish when you cut one open, and that helps them hear reverberating sounds and echoes better even. So lower and higher pressure in the atmosphere can affect this organ even, and at certain times during lower pressure they can hear better, I think. I might have that backwards. They might be able to hear better during higher pressures, but anything that helps their organs of sense do their job better, that means they're going to feed better. So that's theoretically why lower pressure systems and higher pressure systems get certain kinds of fish to eat or not eat at times. I'm getting very specific now related to fishing. Fun facts might be over. One more article here. It's about fishing. Just says what their favorite baits are, how to catch them, different trot lines and limb lines and date poles and jugs and stuff. Everybody knows about noodling, genetics, references, blah, blah, blah. Fun facts are over. That was a pretty good one. For just being about a fish, that's pretty good. I have sanded this thing extremely smooth, but my thought is that this is only going to be painted in one layer of paint and then clear coated, and then it's done, because I want to maintain all of these beautiful details. To lose the definition of those whiskers would be a shame. So one coat of paint, very simple paint. It's a catfish, gray. I don't know, baby catfish like this, they have spots, the channel cats do. Let's stop talking about the paint and let's paint. Although after pulling up some pictures of juvenile channel catfish, I'm seeing some gold. If not gold, it's just moving straight up into yellow. That's a beautiful fish, actually. I mean, that's competing with the beauty of like a trout. Spotted, splotchy colors. Once again, let's just paint it. Starting with white. I got a new compressor, by the way. So much nicer, benchtop, way quieter. That old compressor I had is over here right now. Shook the house every time it turned on. It was crazy. I haven't put the magnet in the top yet. I'll do that after I put the first clear coat on it. That way I just know that the clear coat's not gonna be too thick to impede the magnetization of the magnet in the treble hook and the, you know, the centrifugal altitude of the spectral anonymity of the fulcrum. Sorry. But there is one thing important that I forgot to do. I gotta cut the eye sockets. 1/4 inch. It's an easy step to forget. Ah, they're a little off. Because my carvings were so organic and flowy. Organic and flowy. What am I saying? My catfish looks a little dumb now. Get these sealed up again real quick. Okay, let those dry. We'll be back to painting. And I can finish this layer of white. A lot of gold. I'm going with gold first, and then I'm gonna put some sienna over the top of the gold along the back, leaving plenty of white too. I'm not gonna drown out all the white, but satin gold. Hopefully all the lure companies come out with a channel catfish lure now, because these can be pretty. Yeah, that gold comes hardcore down right in the middle of the body right there, behind that shoulder bump. You see that? We need a lot right there. Plan of attack. I'm uncertain about this, but I'm gonna go with detail sepia first to bring in some dark spots towards the top, and then the dark spots are gonna they're gonna come down a little bit. See, it's very, very touchy. Okay. Yeah, there's lines of this stuff. Let's just keep it at the top for now. I'll come back in with the pearl platinum to define those ribs for this catfish, and then come back over all that with stuff. I've gotten to a point where I can't explain how I'm gonna paint this, just watch. That's looking lovely. I'm gonna come back with all sorts of stuff, but mainly a darker color towards the top to get rid of that brown. I mean, they're pretty brown. Maybe I won't. Why am I talking again? So instead of sticking with the lighter color, the platinum, to put the ribs on this catfish, and by ribs I mean those serrations in the body right there, I'm going with a darker color. And not defining each one, but giving the illusion of each one with a comb. I think this will give it a nice fade out effect too, because I can't bend this comb around the body. It's gonna stay straight, and so as it goes out, as the body curves down, there's gonna be some space between the comb and the surface of the lure, and the ribs are just gonna fade out. And the darker color is gonna be a silver. So that's something. It's gonna look a lot better when the ones from the bottom are coming up. I feel like if I defined each one, it would just look absurd. It would be too much. So from the bottom, they come back like that. I need to clean off this comb. Did I call this a spoon when I first showed you this? I couldn't have called this a spoon. If I called this a spoon, that's actually amazing. Woo! Yeah, that looks good. That looks good! Remember, this is just an imitation of ribs. Stuff is gonna go over this. It's not gonna be the focal point. It's just a background detail. Next, just a few smidgets of detail raw sienna. That's gonna tame down the pearliness of the gold, and in some spots where they're still white, cover those up and give it a really very yellow forward look. There. I put it in some spots where I really wanted it. There's a big one right there, but then I just kind of went over the whole thing with it. Splotchy. Lagunitas? Laguna. I got some Laguna blue. It's a really good blue. The picture's got blue on it, so let's put some blue on it. Doing the last little step here, and I'll show you, one sec. It's magenta. This color gives catfish that catfish touch. Look at, you know how they're all fleshy? See all that magenta? I did a lot on the top too. The top treble hook's gonna have feathers coming off of it that are that way too. Some on the back here, some on this fin. That was pretty much the last step other than putting the dots on this thing. And I overdid it with the magenta because I think it looks amazing. I might come back in with some white or some platinum or something and tone that down. But spots, they're only on the body. They're not on the gills, they're not on the fins. They're just randomly on the body. Some of them are tiny, so I'll use the pointy end of this nail and the fat end of this nail too. Yeah, that's pretty big. That's as big as I want to go. Decent amount of detail right there for just a channel catfish. Juvenile channel catfish. Wow, I cannot mess this up. Wow, this is some serious bait painting right here. All for some little whiskers. I'm not even trying to get the black into the seam. I'm just trying to get a straight defined line so the whisker looks straight, you know? Lovely. I'm gonna sign this one, I'm so proud of it. I think for how I want to use this bait, I'm gonna put a screw eye off the back of it. And then if I wanna put a soft plastic off the back of that screw eye, I can do just your standard bait holder twist wire, twist lock thing. Or I can put a swivel off the back of it and put a spinner blade. Versatile, man. But as of now, this bait's done being painted and I can clear coat it. 2-part 30-minute epoxy clear coat for this bait. Removing all of the bristles, loose bristles from this brush right now. I started narrating this video really weird just now. Applying clear coat. Looking spiffy. Sorry, I will stop. You don't want to take your torch to it too much because you can yellow the epoxy you get it to a certain temperature. Pretty much when you start seeing smoke come off of it, your epoxy is gonna yellow. I need to get the epoxy out of this hook slot as well with a wire. Or whatever pointy thing you got to do this job with.
On the other side?
Yeah. This is very hard to decide how much I want to cut off of this. Kind of want it to be like bigger than the real thing, but then you look at it again and it's like, is that stupid? That seems kind of stupid. It's the correct color for that fin. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that looks pretty spiffy. This fishing lure is almost done. That top fin is just a lot, isn't it? I'm trying to trim it down and be super careful not to trim it down too much. That's better. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. I can be happy with that. Let me throw something on the back here. It might just be a spinner blade and a swivel for now. Okay, interesting tidbit here. For some reason, this treble hook, it just fits perfect. Oh, never mind. It ended up just having a perfect friction fit. Like, it can support the weight of the bait, no problem, and falls out with the perfect resistance. I'm probably still gonna put a magnet in there, but I'm extremely happy with that fit. Right now, the roads probably aren't safe. They're probably drivable, but it'd just be stupid to go out and drive right now. As you can see, I took video of all of the snow and my son a little bit.
No!
Snow!
Meh.
Regardless, we're gonna put this bad boy on the wall and we're just gonna stack up the baits on that wall. And the first chance I get, which might be going back down to Alabama again and fishing with some of these. First chance I get, we're gonna be fishing with these. I just wanna see how it works though. I do not wanna end this video on not knowing how this bait works. I'm gonna fill up my bathtub. That's right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fill up my bathtub and we're gonna see how this works. I hate winter. So yeah, when you add two split rings off of the swivel, like there's a split ring attached to the screw eye and there's a split ring attached to the blade and there's a swivel between, it makes the whole blade do this. Which is pretty awesome. Like that is a lot of action. Like that is going to attract the attention of something. Whew. That's slow too. That's not going to be difficult to catch a fish with. This whole time I've been throwing this bait around in the tub too, the treble hook has not come out, and I've thrown it like that, you know. I'm noticing a tiny bit of lipless crankbait action, just a little bit of wandering. It's not an actual action. It's not a shake or anything. It's just a little bit of hunting and wandering. Ton of turbulence though. That blade's kicking up. Just that alone right there, it's gonna get bit. Okay, that's enough. You know now. You know the action of this bait now. Very glad I went with a blade off the back instead of a soft plastic. I still have the option to put a soft plastic on. Extremely impressed with the juvenile channel catfish paint scheme. Never painted one before. If you plucked one of these out of the river though and looked at it, it's like that is what these look like. A little bit of yellow, a little bit of gold. It's very funny. I was thinking this is just gonna be like a gray lure. That's not what the juvenile ones look like though. That is. Very happy with that paint scheme. Gonna use that more. Everything came together on this bait with very little convincing. It's going up on the wall. Video's over. Did you guys see the LSD crappie? It's completely finished. Look at that crazy lip. I'll have this bait up for sale when this video's out at the Marling Baits website if you want to snag it. I'd recommend you don't snag this bait if you want to purchase it. Most people have just been putting these things up on their wall. Might have a couple more up there too. We'll see. Super proud of this one though. If nobody wants to buy it, I'm fine with that too. I'll put it up on my wall. Okay, now the video's over. On to the next bait. Enjoy this gender reveal in a true bait maker's fashion. Thank you, Jason and Amanda, for setting all this up and coming all the way up to Iowa from Alabama to do this. Chelsea and I are having another baby, and this was the gender reveal for it. We didn't do it with Finn, our first one, but we did it with this one. I'm gonna shut up in case I spoil the reveal. Enjoy.
Okay.
Oh, it's about to be official. Okay.
I'm scared.
It's the most momentous demold I've ever done.
Oh my gosh, I'm scared. What is it? Nothing.
Oh,
What?
it's a girl.
No,
You
it's
have
no, it's not.
They put the symbol on it.
Turn it over. Take it out. Look at the other side.
No, it's not. Are you serious?
Rosalind. I was not expecting that. We're having a girl.
Oh my god.
That's crazy. You're just out of frame crying on my phone.